I'm down for whatever, but I never fall. Whenever I need my soldiers, they there when I call. I'm never scared when it's time to lay my life down. I need some warriors to stand with me right now. Forget about the hate, I gotta stick to the plan. I pray to God every day to be a better man. With all this pressure, I'ma need to hold my own. I don't wanna do nothing.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'm Arthur J, and this is my co-host Tori, and we back with another episode.
Yes, sir.
Man, we're gonna get right into this, Tori, like we always do, man. This right here, I'm providing for my kid. But what about the siblings? Now, people may be like, why such a title, man? And I'm gonna give y'all a little brief background why we, came up with we thought that it would be good to speak on this. And I believe, Tori, I'm gonna tie you right into this. This is something that you saw online where, you was talking to an individual, and the whole thing of if you have, let's say you was bringing your daughter something to eat, and she have siblings, right?
Exactly.
And you didn't bring them something to eat. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, was saying that if I choose to bring them something to eat, then that's your business. If I choose not to, that doesn't make me a bad person.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tie you right in on that. I want you to get right into it and enlighten the audience, our viewers, so we can get into this and we can really hear from the people.
From the dialogue. That's all it is. But
yes, sir.
In my opinion, the whole thing was about my child. Just say I'm putting myself in this. I bring my child. My child called me to get something to eat. I bring them something to eat, but the child has siblings that's not my child. Children. But my child was eating in front of his siblings. A person was bringing out like the guy is wrong for letting his child eat in front of his siblings. But that's not his responsibility or his concerns, basically. If he chooses to go, and get those other kids something to eat, that's one thing. But if he's raising that child in a good way, in a way, the child is probably going to end up sharing his food regardless. But I shouldn't be pointed out as a bad father for my child calling and saying they was hungry. And I'm just dropping off food. Wherever my child eats that food, that's just where they eat their food. Or the person in that I was talking to who was coming, we were having dialogue. They was like, well, you should take the child to go get something to eat. Well, maybe I was in a rush that day. Maybe I had some other things to do. You know what I'm saying? But I shouldn't have to be forced to take my child to bring them to get something to eat because he has other siblings that are not my kids. You know what I'm saying? So as I said it like this, as a man, I probably would have seen those kids and probably went and got something to eat. You know what I'm saying? But that's not making me obligated to do that, or somebody might not do that. Another male might not do that. But what I said, the bigger thing is, where does the woman take accountability? And I think like this, that's why we have to be mindful, just like us men. If we sit down and make multiple baby mothers, we have to deal with all those child support cases that we have to deal with, period. We can't fight about it. We can't do nothing about it. Just pay. You made that bed, you laid in that bed, you gotta make it. Just like for a woman. If you have multiple fathers, baby daddies, all of them might not be a good father. But don't blame or get mad at the good father for taking care of his child and not the other children. So you got to be mindful of the men you have multiple baby daddies as well. So,
Yeah, man. Very interesting.
No, that was long-winded, but
No. I think you really you digested a lot for people to really for you to start to show off of really explaining and tying right in what we all talking about, because this is a discussion right here that can really ruffle some feathers, as we always do, but it ain't nothing new. But my view on it, and it's a very on both sides type of view. And the reason why I say this, because on one end, that a woman may feel the way she feel about kids, because I can understand when you're looking at, it seems to me that the individual, she made a very good point, as well as you made a good point. Y'all both made very good points, but the point that she made, I could understand of kids and it being a situation where, kids see something and they, they feel how they feel and it's a sensitive type of thing. But I also can understand this was a thing that I had to really dissect and really think, because I can understand your point too. And I know a lot of people will argue it, but it's really to me, my opinion, it's really no wrong or right answers, because you make a very good point when you say you got to think about all the kids that you have and the choices you make just as well as we have to think when we go to complain about, oh, they put us on child support, boo hoo hoo, they put us on child support.
Exactly.
Nobody put a gun in your head and tell you to go and have all these kids. That goes both ways.
Yes, it does.
It goes both ways. So that's why I say, when you really look into things, you really see that, as a man having a responsibility on choices, same way a woman has a responsibility, is because when we get in situations, we don't think about the outcome. We don't think about how it could possibly affect all of the kids. Just like you may be sensitive and look at it like, oh, it's affecting the kids because you only worrying about your child, it's affecting the siblings. Why won't you get them something to eat before they come? You're not thinking about before you laid down and had multiple kids. Those are the things that we all have to think about, just like we said with the things that men we complain about that they put us on, that word called child support. So I'm gonna tie you right back in. Is what are some of the things you think that what are some of the things that you think could possibly turn a situation around where, for men who are put in that position, and what advice would you give a man that's put in that position to that feel like that, oh, you're a bad person because these women may say, hey, you shouldn't have done that. What advice would you give them? I'm gonna start there.
And that's my thing. I don't feel like it's no clear cut answer to give a person that is taking care of his responsibility. You can't make this individual feel like he's doing something bad,
right?
But taking care of his responsibility. And I'm gonna say that again, his responsibility.
That's a key
My
point.
thing is, it's unfortunately that you have other kids, but to dictate what I should do with my child that I'm taking care of,
that was your
you should
point.
pick him up and take them to go get something to eat, or you should do this. You don't have that control over me to make me do, or because you have other siblings. You have other kids. That's not mine. That's not my problem. I'm a great guy, and I probably, like I said, I probably would go get a whole thing of Publix chicken or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just what I am. But don't make me feel like I'm doing something wrong for dealing with doing for my child. It's just like this. And I'm telling my own personal story. I have a child mother. She has other kids. That's not mine. When I go to pick up my child, you don't think that I have to hear, we want to go to? We want to go to? What I encourage is these other fathers to step up and be in their kids' life. You know what I'm saying? And that would kind of probably change a little situation, because if everybody step up and do what they supposed to do, it's an equal opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Everybody will be feeling like they treated fair. Not that, hey, I want to go with you. My dad don't never come spend time with me, but that's not my fault. I only have this one kid. You know what I'm saying? So am I a bad guy for not taking the kids that's not mine and just taking my child? It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So I just my suggestion would be, everybody just take care of your fathers. If you're outside the home, please just take care of your responsibilities, so these kids don't have to feel like my dad's this, my dad does this. You know what I'm saying? Or those natures. Or be with that woman. Be mindful who you make kids with. Don't bring no kids in this world, hopefully in the perfect world, if you're not going to be with that person, because you have to deal with things of this nature. So,
man, you said a lot again, man, and it's so much to expound on, because I can just hear women in my head just say, well, nobody's saying that you have to do anything, but wouldn't it be nice to take in consideration of the kids or their feelings or how they view things, or wouldn't it be nice to be considerate of they're not yours, but why would what would you say to that to people that's saying that?
But they are telling you you should do this and should do that. You shouldn't do this, you should do that. If they're not, then they wouldn't say nothing. Okay, thank you for bringing your child something to eat. And not even a thank you. Just don't make it a big deal. Just go get your kids something to eat, or they shouldn't be hungry in the first place. Let's address that.
Yeah, we getting ready to get into that. But before we get into that, the thing that I think when people hear you, especially a lot of women, they hear you say what you're saying, they're gonna miss the point that you said. I probably
would.
They're gonna miss that because all you hearing about is he's not obligated, and that's real talk. He's not obligated to you already. All over the world for centuries, a lot of women been saying deadbeat, 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 not stepping up to the plate. And it takes a lot. You all know this, women. It takes a lot to do for your child or your kids. It takes a lot. So when you have add-ons, it's very nice and it's very loving. Nobody is disputing that. But you're making it as I'm a bad person.
Exactly. That's
and
my only spiel.
It goes back to what you said when you said, why are they hungry? Why haven't they eaten? Why it shouldn't even be a thing where as if it feels like I'm doing for my child or I'm bringing my child something to eat, because that's what the conversation started off. You bringing your child something to eat. You'll be surprised how many kids that be living in the house of a mother or a father, and you'll have the other parent that do a whole lot more, and the child don't even live with them. So my whole thing is if, like you said, it piggyback what you said, if everybody is doing their part, if everybody is,
it won't be a competition.
It wouldn't even be no conflict. However, I do understand the loving part. That's why I know the kind of person you are. People who are watching may not know you personally the way I know you. I can see you having a heart by your choice to say, hey,
Man, you know what?
I'm gonna bring them something too, because I know,
Exactly.
do they want something? And I think that's what a lot of times people will miss this episode if they're not really paying attention and just hear this. It's just so many different scenarios I'm trying to give you of don't make, because it happens all the time. Don't make a man to be a bad person because he ain't a do-boy or he ain't just like, and I understand kids are kids. So that's a very sensitive thing when you talk about kids, but it's like, you got to understand when you put yourself in a position to, you got to know, even if you don't know that your child is coming back with something to eat, or you bringing your child something to eat, even if you don't know that he's about to do that, it's the fact of knowing that you had a child by this man, that's his child, that's his decision. Like I'm with you. I the kind-hearted person that I am, I would take in consideration of the other kids, but I don't have to. That's the point. I don't have to. And I know people get smart and they say, well, you don't have to do anything. Yeah, there's certain things you do have to do or there's consequences. So don't use that example. But there's certain things, if I don't do, there's no consequences of me not wanting to do that if I didn't want to do that.
Now, the one thing I wanted to say too is when it's time for you to say why you didn't bring the other kids something to eat, is when I'm dealing with you. We're still together. We're an item. Ooh. Now, I came into this relationship.
You got to let that breathe for a minute.
Exactly. Now, I came into this relationship. Me and you have a child. You already had kids. Now I will be a bad man or a fool or whatever if I come in this house, bring my kids something to eat, and don't bring these other kids something to eat. Now you have a point to say why you didn't bring my kids, because you shouldn't be looking at this as this my kids, those your kids. If y'all dealing with each other, I'm bringing home all the food everybody's getting the same thing or whatever they order, or you know what I'm saying? And that's when you have the right, to me, in my opinion, the right to say you should have brought the other kids something to eat. The kids that's not yours. If I'm dealing with that woman and me and that woman are an item, that's the only time that I feel like a man should be forced to bring somebody something to eat, or you should have something to say why he didn't bring.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead, bro.
What if y'all used to be dealing with each other?
Used to.
You know what I mean?
Keyword.
But what if y'all used to be in a relationship and you've always done for her kids? And then it's a situation where
that's different.
Because that's a very good question, really, when you think about it. Because y'all used to be dealing with each other, and you took upon her son or her daughter the same way as you took your own.
Yeah.
Does that change?
To me, if you have an attachment to children that you was in a relationship with that woman, I mean, you can do the same things. I would, in a sense, until I would. I'm going to leave it simple. I would do the same things that I normally used to do. But if the day comes that I didn't want to, I'm not a bad person. I'm still taking care of
they gonna attack you.
Responsibilities. Period.
The women gonna attack you.
I don't care. That's my opinion, and that's what I'm here for. All the smoke. The smoke, and I got
on you.
Thick skin because I know the kind of man that I am. Now, again, like you said, they'll miss the part that I said.
I know
I would do this. You know what I'm saying? But that's me. That don't make Joe Blow have to be obligated to do that. But that don't make him a bad dude that he don't. Long as he taking care of his.
What about the women that'll say, so Tori, you mean to tell me you saying if you wanted to, so you think that like, let's say, what if a woman asks you, let's say a man decided not to, you think that's right? What do you say to that? I'm hitting you with these questions today.
A man that say he don't want to do what? Take care of somebody else?
No, he was providing for the kids when they was together. They no longer together, and you said that if he don't want to, there's nothing wrong with it. And they ask you the question. So you think there's nothing wrong with it? They trying to just clarify
that's choice. He's not obligated to do that. He's not. You can't even take this man to court and have him.
Why do you think he's not obligated? I'm trying to think for the women for
because they're not his kids. It's Adam's kids. They take care of his responsibility. Now, while I was with this woman, yes, we're one. Even if we're one, we're together. I'm gonna take care of everything as a man's supposed to do, a leader. But once we separate, maybe our relationship don't sever from the kids, but I'm not obligated to do that. You know what I'm saying?
And
I'm just not.
Just to clarify, because I know we've been saying take care, but this episode basically started on the bringing. I want to stay on that. Bringing the food. That was just a small incident.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if I'm bringing my child something to eat, or if my child coming back with something to eat, why? The question was asked, why would you do that and not bring the siblings?
Or why wouldn't you take your kid off somewhere to
have
them eat?
So why would you not take your kids somewhere where the other kids wouldn't see that, because you bring it back, now the kid's gonna feel left out, or they're gonna feel like some type of way, and that made a woman feel a type of way. And I just want to know how many people feel that same way. And it's very interesting, man, because I never thought about it, because I'll have one child, and she don't have any sisters or brothers, so I never was put in that position before. So this is enlightening me. This is making me think, what would I do? It was making me think, when you never been in a position before, you never really think about it.
It raises the bigger picture. We know we don't live in a perfect world. But it raises the eyebrow. That's why people say bring these kids into the world if you can and if you must. I can't. It's too late for me. But my kids are grown, whatever. But I have a mutual respect for my children's mother, and it's vice versa. But bring a child in the world when you're going to be with that person. I know things happen. You can't predict the future. I get that. But at the end of the day, this is for just making multiple baby daddy, baby mamas. You know what I'm saying? Then you won't run into these problems as much. You know what I'm saying? So it just raises the eyebrow. Be careful who you lay with and make children with. Not that the person is a bad person, but you have to deal with this in between stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
Man, that's heavy that you're saying that. That's real heavy because a lot of times I think people will be like, "Yeah, Toy, it sound good, but
we
when
not
you in the
perfect,
mood
but
and everything like that, when
well,
when you, it don't always work out like that.
it
So
don't.
being that it's not like that, I just think that it just still like, why would you just not just get that kid food before you come? I mean, why would you do to other kids like that? That's just some BS.
Guess
Why
what?
would you?
You know what I'm finna say? Not to cut you off, because my mind is going while we having this.
I'm trying to
it's just
look out for y'all women, so y'all won't think I'm being
Man,
biased, because I'm really not. I'm really on
Why?
both sides. I see it from, not to cut you off, I'm gonna let you get
Yeah.
right with it, but I'm really seeing it from a perspective of a male in this situation, and I'm seeing it from y'all side too. I'm seeing it from both sides. Go ahead.
But at the end of the day, and we done seen it and witnessed it, I done been through it. Why does the good man that's there for his child and take care of his responsibility with his child catch more hell
Oh man,
than the person
I was doing
that made
good.
the kids, the other kids? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Y'all don't give them no drama.
Oh,
But that
man.
person that does, why? Because he's a ticket, basically, in a
Oh.
sense. You know what I'm saying? But don't get mad at me for being the good guy. You know what I'm saying? Take that up with the other children's father. God be that he's here on earth to be able to still provide for his kids. But, if he's not, that's something different. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, why I got to catch all the hell and Joe Blow over there doing whatever he want to, ain't paying no child support, ain't doing nothing. So
Yeah, I mean,
answer that.
woo, man, it's we can go on and on with this.
Mhm.
This is something that I think a lot of times when people are put in position like this, they have no sense of care, and I like the fact that we diving all into this because at the end of the day, kids didn't ask to be in this world.
Exactly.
Kids didn't ask to be here. They didn't have no say so. I've heard people older than me say it all the time. So what kind of position you want to put your kids in? Let that breathe. What kind of position you want your kids to be in? So when you go to making choices, and like you say, let's say you already done made them choices. So what now? Now you got to think about the what now. How can I elevate? How can I really make different moves in my life that I didn't make that I didn't make before? And how can I teach my kids? Because we're talking about kids here. So how can I teach them to not be in the same position that we in right now, where it's a lot of bickering, it's a lot of going back and forth, and it's a lot of confusion because here it is. You see that all the time in our community, especially. You see it all the time where it's like different, and it's not to knock nobody, but I'm just speaking reality. You have different you have siblings that don't have the same father or the same mother or whatever, and it be a thing where it's not knocking, but it raise your eyebrow and should make you think. It's not bashing, but it should make you think like, okay, some things in life you just think back, you just say, I could have avoided this. It could have been less headaches. It could have been less confusion. And what can I teach my child or my kids to try to avoid the same thing that we, having conflict on? And that's very interesting to think about that, because it's not always easy to do, but it only makes sense because I look at a lot of young people and I look at the opportunities they have to be like, man, by this certain age you can have you a house. By this certain age you can have this. By this certain age you can have this. You can be traveling the world. Things that we all look back and just say, man, I could have been doing this if I would have just been more.
Exactly.
We all can look back and just say, man, I used to hear my parents say this all the time. I used to get mad at them saying this, but when you get older, you realize, man, if I could do it all over again, let that breathe.
Yeah, man.
If I could do it all over again, and that's one thing that I really just want to instill into even my daughter, man, and that's something that we all should do, man. I want to tie you in there. What you think about that?
And I was saying myself, like I said earlier, when you're raising your kids, man, really step up and be in these kids' life. But when you're raising your kid and you're raising them right, like I said, I know my children, they probably gonna share their food regardless. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. Just the biggest thing that I would take out of this whole episode is just be mindful who you lay with. You know what I'm saying? Just don't try to make all these baby daddies baby mothers. And it's vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Because we all guilty of something. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, just try to your best, like we were saying in one episode. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And not make me feel like I'm doing something wrong. But if you come to me and say, well, you know, on these, you know, my other kids, can you go a long way?
Yeah.
But because sometimes I might not have the means. I do, but I was just saying some people don't have the means to just buy this or buy that. But if you have that conversation and it's, hey, you know, do you mind stopping to get the other kids something to eat too? I know it ain't your responsibility or whatever. That goes a long way to be humble than me just getting the angry side of you because I did this. But, you know.
Yeah, man.
Communication.
Oh, man. Well, you said that communication, I was just finna go there because a lot of times you'll get more out of a person.
Exactly.
If you really communicate in the right way.
Yep.
When everybody has pride, when everybody has sticking their chest out, it's not gonna do nothing but just create a fire that won't be put out.
Or if you might be falling on hard times, I'm just saying if it's a scenario, you falling on hard times.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't have I guess bashing or no problem. I would say of getting, hey man, you might, you know what? Let me put a few things in this house because now I might just go grocery shop because my kid got to live in that house too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm not in the house with my child, and I know you're on hard times, if we talking and co-parenting, those are the things that I need to know because my child there too. Even if we're talking about my child and you just telling me or venting like I'm having a tough time, you know what? Let me go make sure I put something in this house. And that's just a real man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, those that don't do that don't mean they're a bad person.
And
that's all I'm trying to say.
That's the point that I know your whole point that you was making, which is so profound that I want everybody to catch also, is that even with me seeing it on both sides, you know, it's nice to be nice and it's nasty to be nasty. Also, it don't make a person a bad person if that's not their responsibility. Now, a lot of people may agree with that. A lot of people may don't agree with that. A lot of people may say, you know, but that's just facts. Yeah. That's facts. So you have to think about when you are put in a position before you have these kids. And this goes for all of us. You have to think about all these things, you know, and that's our problem. A lot of things we don't think about before we do. It's just like when we get mad and we want to fight or we want to go off or we want to, you know, you have to think about these things, man. You know, don't let, you know, what the dude said off of the Get Rich or Die Trying. Don't let something that you do for 5 seconds get you 50 years.
Yeah.
I forget the dude name that he said not Get Rich or Die Trying. He said it off of All Eyes on Me.
Yeah.
I forget the dude. He played Pinky.
Something Powell's. I forgot his real name, but the guy that played Pinky and a lot of other roles.
He said don't let something that you do for 5 seconds get you 50 years. Now you may say, well, Arthur, what you mean by that? A lot of times we meet someone and we, you know, be in a relationship or whatever. We don't really think things out, And I get it. We all have kids, so it makes me sound like a square saying that, but you want to cry about it later? Think about it. You want to cry about it later, and then it be so many. I don't want to argue, man. I'm at an age now, man. I don't want to go through all that. I don't want to be going through all that. So it's like all this back and forth of why you didn't do this or why you didn't take in consideration. It goes both ways. Like, yeah, it's nice for a person to have a heart and everything like that. But it's also something that you have to take in consideration as a mother. You know, you have to take in consideration also. So we both, it always goes back to that. We both have an obligation for our kids, man. We gonna wrap it up here, man. I want y'all to like.
I really want to hear their feedback.
Man. Subscribe.
Please.
Definitely comment, you know, share, because we know this is something that it's a topic that's gonna really get everybody worked up, and we fine with that because we want to hear what y'all have to say about this. We definitely want to, you know y'all mindsets and y'all views on this, but we got more on the way. We want to thank y'all for coming to the Arthur J and Tori TV podcast. Until next time, like we always say,
Peace.
I hate the feeling that I get when I wanna quit. Keep my composure when a hater say something slick. Talking 100 when you don't keep it 50. I see the fake every time you hanging with me. You say you straight, but your actions showing different. Why should I